Welcome to day 15 of the Black Knight Inspiration Challenge. I hope you enjoyed the consolidation day yesterday as we consolidated the work that we've done on the trunk. So we've done a lot, we've done the roots, 7 days, and then 7 days on the trunk. And now we're moving into the branches, our first day on the branches. And the branches are about living your truth and having impact, for living that truth. So the same as the roots and the trunk, you might find a bit of resistance. Some people find resistance to doing the work on the roots. Some people, the trunk, they resist that. And then some people, they get to the branches and they find, wow, okay, I prefer doing work on the roots and the branches are really not. So just work out where in your psyche is this resistance. So to be a Black Knight, as I said, we need to be complete. We need to be complete. All parts need to be embraced. So that includes the roots, the trunk, and the branches for you to be a full tree, a full Black Knight. And it's just awareness. So today, I want to talk about our brain, because if you think about it, you think of the trunk of the tree, a bit like ourselves. When you get to the top of the trunk and you move out into the branches, it's like ourselves. It's like the top of our spine, the trunk, and we move out into our brain. The brain sits on top of our spine. So I want to talk about the brain that we have, and thanks to Paul McLean, loads of research, we actually understand now we have four separate brains, and they all evolved separately. So the first brain that evolved was the reptile brain. Exists in all reptiles and still exists in us, just on top of the base of the spine. And that's really a very basic, brain that just, survival. It's just, how do I, survive through the day. On top of that, we developed the second brain, which is the mammalian brain. Now, it's the old mammalian brain. And that gets us involved in senses and emotions, So it's the old mammalian brain. The reason why I'm saying the old mammalian brain is on top of that, the next evolution is the third brain, which is the neocortex. And that's the new mammalian brain. And that allowed us to actually think. So it meant, apart from just the reptile brain of just how do I survive through the day, with the senses and emotions of the mammalian brain, with the neocortex, we could think about it. We could actually literally be a little bit separate from the reptile and the old mammalian, and actually think about what was going on, So it was a huge, so it's really above, and it encapsulates the reptile and the mammalian brain. And then the most recent addition to the brain structure is number 4, which is the prefrontal cortex. Now, it's very new, and it allows us imagination. Like, it's that full, we can imagine things, we can imagine beyond our inner landscape. We can imagine the world, and then we can imprint that imagination out on the world. So it's a huge benefit. Now, what happens though is that actually each individual brain references the previous brain. So the mammalian brain is referencing back, the neocortex is referencing the mammalian, and the prefrontal cortex is referencing so it's always like referencing back to the previous brain structure. So what happens here is, if you get lost in, let's say, the world, you feel there's a tiger coming, or there's something stressful, you'll actually reference back to the reptile. The reptile brain will get activated, and you'll be in fight or flight. You'll be like, how do I get out of here? And the reptile brain takes over. And that's very important. If there's a tiger coming at you, it's very important. If you have a situation where there's stress, emotional stress, even though you're trying to imagine something up here in the prefrontal cortex, you'll reference back to your mammalian. You'll go back to this previous reference. So under stress situations, actually, those two basic brains, the reptile and the old mammalian brain, take over. They just take over. They're really powerful. And if we don't have a sense of ourselves, we don't have a sense of our centers. We're back in that reptile, old mammalian structure, and it's not good. It causes huge stress. Yeah, I can't tell you the level of stress we go into when we get into fight or flight, and it's only meant to be. These earlier brains kicking in, it's only meant to be for a short time. Like if a tiger came or a woolly mammoth, like that was whatever happened. Then it was gone. Like you didn't have that all day. What's happening today is that the levels of stress are. We're listening to the news or on social media. The levels of stress that are kicking us into the mammalian and the reptile original brains are continual throughout our day. So, I read some research on a speech that Dick Cheney did now in America, and Dick Cheney, the speech was actually, it's incredible. The speech was targeted specifically. Some paragraphs of the speech were targeted at the reptile brain. Some paragraphs were targeted at the mammalian brain within our brain structure. So, and then the audience was actually videoed, so that when the paragraph that targeted the reptile brain, Cheney said, the people whose reptile brain were activated were like, yeah, wait. And then when the mammalian brain paragraph came up, the people who with the mammalian brain activated, they all got activated. So what I'm saying to you is, this is known, the structures are known, and so, the news or speeches, propaganda and all is targeting, and social media is targeting these early brain structures and keeping us in. I'm not saying it's overall, there's an overall orchestration. All I'm saying is that that's what has happened. We've used our knowledge of the brain structure for manipulation, really, as opposed to for getting us to our highest imagination and our highest cause. So this looping back all the time is this continual loop that we get dropped back in. It could be in relationships, could be in our lives. We're looping back all the time to these lower brain structures. So how can you get out of that loop? How do we break out of that loop? Well, actually, evolution and the universe and the world has given us our heart. And what happens is, if our heart and our brain, our brain connects to our heart, the whole lot calms down. Calms down. And we get into a place that's called coherence. This is really important, because when in coherence, all the stress goes away. Yeah. When we're in stress, we have inflammation in our body. Our sympathetic nervous system is on high alert, and there's a lot going on that's really not good for our health. So once we get that heart-mind connection, the heart-brain connection, everything settles down. Yeah. Consciously connecting brain to the heart, and that's a natural process. It's just when we're in this, we get lost in it. We forget, and all of a sudden we're down mammalian, reptilian, and it's so wired to our basic structure. It's we have to be very conscious. So in that state of coherence, you have optimal organ function. Literally all the organs go into a synchronistic state. And so if you were to see somebody in stress and you looked at their heart rate variability, not their heart rate, but their heart rate variability, you'd find it's actually spiky. It's not, it's kind of like agitated, you know. If you see that person in a state of coherence, their heart rate variability is a sine wave. It's a smooth sine wave. And it means literally their body has moved into a coherent state and all the organs are phased in synchronicity. Yeah. So it's an optimal state for your body. It's harmony. It's really harmony for your body. And this is, you know, I'm not talking theory. Well, I am talking theory, but you know, I've practiced it myself. I've had a device and attached it to my ear, and it registered my heart rate variability. And then I tested various things, meditations, my heart, breathing, and I watched my heart rate variability, and I was able to get from that spiky, agitated state of the mammalian reptile brain into a sine wave state of coherence where all the organs just phase. And the device shows you that your heart rate variability has hit this sine wave and you are in a state of coherence. It's really incredible. And it's just breathing and connecting your brain to your heart, you know, bringing awareness down from your brain to your heart. And the whole happens. Very simple. And again, these brain structures, I was never told about them in college, you know, none of this was in school. And yet they have a massive effect on our stress levels and how we live life. So, you know, it was Darwin who said, actually, you know, survival of the fittest only got species to a certain level. This is Darwin in his later work. Survival of the fittest only worked up to a certain point. But for humans to be so successful in so many ecosystems, like humans are in all ecosystems, we've been so successful. Darwin said it took the higher ordinances of love and compassion, where we cared for each other, we cared in groups. This actually got us to be so successful. So what Darwin was saying was, mammalian reptile survival of the fittest here can only get a species so far. But actually it's the higher ordinances of the heart, love and compassion, that allow us, the imagination, that allow us to be hugely successful. And it's where the stress, if you're in stress here, you can't imagine anything. You're just in survival. You're just in, yeah. So the Black Knight knows this. The Black Knight knows he's not going to waste energy on these, it's this and it's that on the news, or it's this and it's that, and he feels, the Black Knight feels when he's down in the mammalian and reptile, it's not a good feeling. You're not in your center, you're not in your roots, you're just blown around by these energies, yeah? And then the media, everything is just, we're bombarded with so much information now, and it's visual. The information is visual, so it really affects us instantaneously, you know, we see visuals. So the Black Knight knows this. The Black Knight knows, no, I need to be in a state of coherence. I need to breathe. I need to come down into my heart. I need to connect my brain to my heart into coherence, optimal organ synchronicity and calm. And then my imagination, my creativity, my health, less stress. It's incredible. You just go into a state of real harmony with yourself and the world. So really want to hear how you get on. This is for me was, you know, again, a huge bit of understanding, you know, and just understanding what affects me and how I can change. So I don't just want to give you the theory. I want to give you the action and how to do this, how to come out of the lower brain structure. So the meditation that I'll send you will have just a meditation on how to do that, how to go into a state of coherence that I developed from using the device and getting myself into that lovely sine wave where you just are in coherence. It's gorgeous. So I'll send you an MP3 of the meditation, and you have that forever. Like you can use it for, you know, as long as you want, okay? So hope you enjoyed today's session. Please keep the feedback coming, the emails, and I will see you tomorrow for day 16. It's incredible. It's really incredible.